Hi, everybody. Welcome. All right, we're going to get started. My name is Jennifer Johnson. I am one of the sales managers here for Stahls. I actually reside in Texas and I oversee Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Arkansas. I have my partner, Stacy. She's going to be kind of behind the scenes. She's going to be helping to answer a lot of your questions in the chat box, and she'll be sending you a recorded taping of this via email after we are done today. We're going to cover the topic of how to avoid the dreaded scorch mark. I am sure all of you have experienced it at one point or another. As you can see here in our handy little photograph, we've got a fleece zip up, and on the left you can see that nasty box mark, and on the right you don't see it. A lot of people have different names for it: box mark, impression mark, discoloration, scorch mark, bruising. So we're going to cover all that good stuff today. I love to make these webinars interactive. This webinar won't be that long. We have an hour slated, but I think I can probably get through this in about a half an hour or so. So ask all the questions you guys want in the chat box. Like I said, Stacy, my partner, is here to help answer a lot of those questions. And then at the very end of the webinar, I'll go back through and read some of the questions out loud and give my answers as well. So let's get started. First and foremost, I can't stress this enough. This is the most important element that I think a lot of people first starting out with heat transfers don't understand or sometimes can miss. And it's what we call fabric compatibility. And basically what that means is making sure that you have selected the right heat transfer vinyl, digital heat transfer, screen printed heat transfer, the right heat transfer for your fabric. Not all heat transfer types or heat transfer vinyls are compatible with the fabric that you have selected. For example, heat sensitive, what we call performance polyester, right? That is a huge, really popular fabric, and it's getting more and more popular as these fabrics get more technical. You have antimicrobial fabrics and moisture wicking fabrics. Heck, you'll even have UV protected fabrics, all these really technical fabrics. These types of fabrics are extremely sensitive to heat. So you need to make sure that you're picking a product that has a low enough temperature threshold to be able to work on those fabrics. You can't pick a product like Transfer Express's Goof Proof Screen Printed Transfer. It's a great product, but it applies at 365 degrees, which is just too high of a temperature for some of these really technical heat-sensitive fabrics. Another really popular fabric right now is tri-blends. You'll hear about tri-blends all over, from Bella Canvas to, District Made. All of these newer fabrics contain tri-blends, and it's a combination of cotton, polyester, and typically rayon. Those are a real beast to decorate. They're very sensitive to heat and pressure. So you need to make sure that you're picking a vinyl or a heat transfer type that's compatible with that type of heat sensitive fabric. I am going to have Stacy post a PDF. She's going to copy and paste it into the chat box. It's a PDF. It's our fabric compatibility PDF. It is great. It's a handy little tool. I highly recommend you all copy it and save it to your desktop, save it to your documents, so that you can easily reference all of our vinyls and basically what vinyls are compatible with what fabric types. If you guys don't have a chance to save it here while we're on this webinar, we will email you a copy of the PDF. So don't worry, don't frantically have to try to copy and paste it here or save it here. We will email you a copy of this PDF. It's a great little tool. I keep all those things printed out and I keep them kind of in a little 3-ring binder, and because it's hard for me to remember everything, and it's just really easy to refer back to. Another great tip that a partner of mine taught me a long, long time ago, and I use it all the time. Test a little inconspicuous area of your fabric. You know, if you're buying a cheaper Gildan or Hanes or Jiffy shirt, yeah, you can probably afford to buy an extra, you know, $3 shirt and test it. But if you're buying a Nike shirt, right, that's $50, you can't afford to buy an extra one to test. Take a little small inconspicuous area on that shirt. I typically like the back inside of the shirt and test it on the corner of the heat press. You just need to lay a little piece on the corner of a heat press and engage the heat press at the time and temperature of your product. Don't put the product on there. Don't test it with a heat transfer. Just test the shirt and you will know if you get discoloration. A little tiny corner, again, like I said, Tanner says best spot to test. I like the back of the shirt at the bottom on the inside. That's a great place to test because it won't ruin the whole garment. You can test to see if you're going to get any discoloration or scorching, and you'll know. You know, it's a little tricky to lay it on the corner of your press. Sometimes you'll have to have, maybe if you've got somebody else in your shop or your husband or your wife or your kid help you hold it. Sometimes it takes two people so the shirt doesn't slide off the platen, but that's a great little trick to test to see if you're going to get any scorching or discoloration. Another great tactic, threadability. Oftentimes people just starting out with heat transfer technology, you know, budgets are tight. I get it. You know, you might buy a cheaper press off of Amazon or a no-name press that doesn't offer threadability. All of our Hotronix brand of presses offer threadability. If you don't have threadability, or if you improperly load your garment onto the bottom platen, you can cause glossing, heat press marks, discoloration. You can get your seams in the way, zippers, buttons, handles on a bag you can get in the way, and it really tends to cause issue. I'm going to play a video. We have learned from past webinars that we cannot talk during these videos. So I'm going to play the video. I won't be talking during this video. It's a really short video, but I want to show you guys what threadability looks like for those of you that may not have a Hotronix press or that just aren't familiar with threadability. So I'm going to start this video here. We're going to get this started and then I'll resume talking after the video plays.
Loads a shirt onto his platen. So we're simply opening it up and sliding it on. Now the Hotronix Fusion has nothing underneath to restrict that shirt from sliding all the way on. Why do we do this? Well, if I were to lay this shirt down, say I'm going to do the back of this shirt, this collar comes down lower and I'm going to put a name on top of there. If I were to lay that on here, I have a collar all the way right here that's going to give me a difference or a different thickness as far as pressure and leave a mark in my design. So I love the fact that I can slide this shirt fully on, pull the collar off so it's just not creating pressure.
So that is what we call threadability. For those of you that want to watch that full-length video, again, we will send you a link to that video in the recorded email that you guys are all going to get after this presentation. It's a really great video to watch, but I just wanted to take a short clip and show you guys what threadability looks like. Another huge factor that helps you to diminish or eliminate scorch marks are interchangeable platens. So choosing the right platen size for your project can be a game changer, especially when you're decorating kind of outside of the box things, bags, tote bags, drawstring bags, shoes, ladies' racer back tees, sports bras, or youth, apparel, onesies, all those sorts of kind of outside of the box things. It's really difficult to lay those types of items on a larger, say, 15 by 15 press or our 16 by 20 heat press. That's where interchangeable platens really comes into play. They're a tremendous tool to have in your toolbox for being able to decorate things and laying off the seams so that the seams fall off the platen, or your button falls off, or your zipper. You can't lay a quarter zip pullover on a 16 by 20 platen. It's going to break or melt or cause scorching. So interchangeable platens are really, really key in helping with that. I am going to have Stacy post a copy of a link to an interchangeable webinar that we did, an interchangeable platen webinar that we did. I highly recommend you guys copy that, save that link. There she just posted it there into the chat box. Again, we'll email you a link of this if you're not able to find it. But that's a really handy tool. We love our webinars. We love our education. We're really here to help set you guys up for success. So interchangeable platens are a great way to help eliminate scorching, because you're just able to decorate the area that you need to decorate. Next are our heat printing accessories. These are some phenomenal tools to help reduce or eliminate scorching. The first are our heat printing pillows. So basically what these are these are reusable 3/4 of an inch foam core pillow with a coated non-stick finish. We've basically sewn a non-stick finish. You slide them into your garments, and that helps absorb basically the shock of the buttons, the zippers, the seams, so that you don't ruin those or damage the integrity of those. And then it helps to soften the edges so that you don't get those scorch marks. I'm going to show you guys a quick video of what I mean by these heat printing pillows, and then we will paste a link to the landing page so you guys know right where to get them, to see pricing, how to order them, all that good stuff. So I'm going to show you a quick video here. It's about 20 seconds long on heat printing pillows.
To reach this print area, with the way this jersey is cut, that's going to be extremely difficult as well. So we have something called heat printing pillows that can be very beneficial for an item like this, where the seams actually recess down into the pillow, so they sink down in, and so you don't really have any issues. Number one, in this case, it handles the print through because all the seams are behind, and it also gives somewhere for the seams to sit down in and the collar to sit down in.
So that was a quick video on heat printing pillows. Again, a great tool to have. Stacy pasted the link in the chat box so you guys know right where to find it on our website. You can kind of look at the different sizes that we offer and the pricing. Another huge tool. If you guys do not have this tool in your toolbox, run, don't walk, and order this today. It's our flexible application pad. So it's basically a silicone rubber stretchable pad. It's slightly thicker than, say, craft paper, butcher paper, or like our nonstick cover sheets. It is fantastic. You preheat it to get it nice and hot. So you stick it under your press with no garment, no transfer. I would say press it for about 30 seconds to get it nice and hot. You only need to do that on the first press, because once you've started pressing your garments, it kind of retains that heat and stays nice and hot. And you lay your shirt down or whatever item you're pressing, put your transfer down, lay this over the top, and press. And it really helps to prevent or eliminate scorch marks. As a general rule of thumb, you want to keep the temperature the same. So for whatever vinyl you're using, or not screen printed transfer, digital transfer you're using, keep the temperature that we recommend, but double your dwell time. Because this is a thicker item, it's acting as a barrier for the heat to get through it. So you really want to make sure you double the dwell time. So for example, if we recommend on a particular vinyl 10-second dwell, and you use this flexible application pad, you're going to want to increase that dwell to 20 seconds. So again, that's just a general rule of thumb, but that is a phenomenal tool to have in your toolbox for helping to prevent or eliminate scorch marks. And again, all of this will be emailed to you. We will email you links to all of these products. You will get a copy of this webinar. So not to worry, you don't have to frantically try to paste things or copy things here. Next up, and last but certainly not least, I want to talk to you guys about power platens. These are compatible with the Hotronics line of presses, so they are compatible with all of our clamshell presses, our Max line of heat presses, and then all of our air fusion models, so our single air fusion and our dual air fusion. They are literally an accessory. So you can see there's a little control box there. And then we have 4 different size Platens. They are essentially an interchangeable Platen with a built-in heater. So what this does is you can pop one of these in, you plug it into your separate control box or your separate brain that controls the temperature. You can now sandwich your heat transfer with top and bottom heat technology. So for example, there are some fabrics out there on the market that no matter what, our lowest product, which is our Ultra Weed, which you can apply at 265 degrees Fahrenheit, still at 265 degrees, certain performance polyesters, rayons, certain fabrics will still scorch, even at 265 degrees. So you've either got to use the flexible application pad or you can use a power platen. And what that does is you can now bring your top heat down to 250 degrees, which we have found in our numerous studies and data. 250 degrees is about the threshold that certain heat-sensitive polyesters and fabrics, synthetic fabrics, have to where they'll start to scorch. It's right around 250. So you can bring that top heat down to 250. You plug in your bottom power platen, you set that to between 300 and 315, depending on the product. And we have application guidelines on our website. And now you can sandwich the transfer together. So you're melting it from the inside of the fabric. This is a game changer, folks. This is seriously a game changer for decorating heat-sensitive fabrics. Again, you always want to test in an inconspicuous area of the fabric on your power platen first. You just want to make sure. I want to say in my 20 years of decorating apparel with heat transfer technology, less than a handful of times I have come across a fabric that just can't take heat press, meaning even at 250 with the lightest amount of pressure, it just discolors, it scorches. And with those types of fabrics, you're either going to need to embroider them or, direct screen print them. They just can't take heat transfer. But again, it's been so rare, and they've been really kind of off the wall, quirky, technical fabrics. Most of the fabrics that you're going to purchase from, Sanmar, S&S, Alpha Broder, all the most popular apparel distributors, they will certainly take 250 degrees in the power platens. So again, if you guys aren't familiar with the power platens, I highly recommend you check them out. Stacy is going to post a link to a power platen video that Josh did. I believe it was Josh. Walks you through. It's, I think, about a 10-minute or so video. It's a great watch. I highly recommend you watch it in your downtime, especially if you have a Hotronics press. Well worth the investment. They're a game changer for decorating heat-sensitive fabrics for sure. So that concludes kind of our tools in our toolbox. I'm going to spend some time to go back through some of your questions. I find it really helpful to ask the question out loud, and then I'll answer as many as I can for you guys. It just always helps, you learn from your others out there. So let's go through some of these questions together. So Laura, I think she said she had never heard about preheating the flexible application pad. So yes, so it's a really good tactic because it's so thick. If you go and you just stick it on and your first press and it's cold, it's thick. It's robbing a lot of the heat from getting through it. So I always like to preheat it, get it nice and hot, and then you have no issues with that first press. And then you're off to the races after that. If you're going to be pressing 12, 24, 48, hundreds of shirts in a shift or a day or whatever, it'll get nice and hot and kind of stay nice and hot. So that's a great little tip for you, Laura, is to preheat the flexible application pad. So Dale says he's getting Platen marks on his tri-blends using the Stretch Litho Matte from Transfer Express. So it's a very low temperature application. So for those of you that aren't familiar with that product, we've actually changed the name. The name is now called Ultra Color Soft. I highly recommend you guys check out the product at Transfer Express. By far, it's in my top 5 of products that we sell. It is amazing. So Dale, on a tri-blends are tricky because they have that rayon or that viscose content in them. And as I mentioned, even at 275, it's a low temp, but it might just not be low enough to prevent that discoloration on those tri-blends. So what I'd recommend, Dale, is if you have a Hotronix heat press, invest in the Power Platens. You will not be sorry, because you can now take the top heat down to 250, incorporate the bottom heat at 300, press for 12 seconds with the Ultra Color Soft, which is formerly the Stretch Litho Matte. Works like a charm every time. I love working with that product and our Power Platens. That's a mouthful for me. Sometimes the discoloration will go away. So there is actually a difference, guys, between what we call bruising and scorching. So scorching, it will not go away, even if you wash your garment, the scorching will not go away. You have scorched and permanently damaged the garment. Bruising will actually go away after you wash the garment. People always ask me, well, how do I know the difference? You'll get really savvy at it. Scorching really looks like a sheen, like an indentation almost. Bruising is just a slight discoloration, and that typically will wash away after the first wash. But it still doesn't look great. It's not a great presentation to present this kind of discolored garment to your client. So again, I recommend the flexible application pad for the Stahls products, the vinyl and the digital transfers. And for the Transfer Express Ultra Color Soft, I would recommend the Power Platens. Dale, unfortunately, you can't use the flexible application pad with the Ultra Color Soft. We don't recommend it. So your option there would be to go with the Power Platens. Oscar asks, is the silicone pad an upgrade from the pillows? Well, Oscar, it really depends on if you only have a 16 by 20 platen. Because if you only have a 16 by 20 platen, as Josh showed you in that quick snippet in that video, and you're decorating like that sports jersey that has all of those seams, the flexible application pad isn't really going to help you with those seams. That's where that pillow comes into play. It helps absorb the seams, or a zipper or a button. So they're really 2 different tools, if you will. The pillows really help absorb those things if you don't have interchangeable platens. If you had a little 6 by 10 platen and you wanted to decorate that tank jersey that Josh had, then you really don't need the pillow because the seams would fall off the 6 by 10 platen. and then that way you could just use the flexible application pad to help with the scorching. If I'm hoping that makes sense for you. Robert says, does it matter if the heating element is on the top or the bottom? Yes, Robert, it does matter. So all of our presses come with top heat only, meaning the heat source is coming from the top platen. You have to follow our recommended temperature settings, and our lowest product is Ultraweed. It's a vinyl, a single color heat transfer vinyl, and it applies at 265 degrees. That is the lowest temperature product we offer. Even at 265, which is considered a very low temperature application, some fabrics are just really heat sensitive, and even at 265, they will discolor or worse, scorch. So again, that's where you would use something like the flexible application pad or the power platens, so that you can then incorporate bottom heat into the technology. Okay, so Alan asks a great question. He asks, he's using a full color, ultra color transfer from Transfer Express and a one color goof proof text transfer from Transfer Express at the same, like on the same shirt. So he's asking which transfer should be pressed first. So Alan, if you can, I'm assuming the text is going to go on top. Again, you're going to flip it over, press it upside down. I'd press the text first and then pull that portion so it's hanging off the platen. Then put your ultra color down, use your white cover sheet that comes with the ultra color transfers, and then press the ultra color second, but with the goof proof hanging off the platen so that you don't have to press it twice and risk damaging the integrity of the goof proof. I hope that helps Alan with that question. What size is the flexible application pad? Wendy asked that. Great question, Wendy. It's 18 inches by 22 inches. So it's a great oversized flexible application pad. It will work on the 16 by 20s, and then it will work with all of your other interchangeable platens. So it's great. Vince asks, when you use the flexible application pad, do you need to add time or temperature? Vince, great question. You add time. Do not add temperature. For example, if you're using our glitter flake, I believe our glitter flake is recommended at 305 degrees for 10 to 15 seconds. So you want to keep the temperature at 305, but you want to double the dwell time if you're using the flexible application pad. So double your dwell time, keep your temperature the same. Let's see. What other questions do we have here? Wendy asks, what would you use to round the round platen for? Okay, Wendy, that's a great question. I love the round platen for drawstring bags. I actually love it for beanies, decorating beanies, believe it or not. I've used it for baby onesies. I've used it for youth tees. I've even used it to decorate workout apparel that might have some spandex or lycra in it. I kind of will lay it just right over that round platen. It's great for that. So those are just a couple of things that the round platen is good for, and it's actually 7 inches round. How do you maintain placement consistency when using a smaller platen? That's a great question, Mark. So a couple of ways you can skin this cat. If you're doing a lot of garments, I find it's more efficient to prep my garments. So if it's a left chest logo, let's say on a button down, I might actually lay all my transfers down and pre-tape them with some of our thermotape. I might tape them all off so that when I go, I might do it for 50 polos, and then when I'm ready to press, I just pick up the shirt. It's already taped on there in place. I've lined it all up. It's ready to go. I just lay it on my small platen and I'm off to the races. So that's one way you can prep all your garments with some garment tape, thermotape we call it. Or you can get a laser alignment system from us. That really helps. Maybe Stacy can post a link to the laser alignment system. That really helps. I have gotten, because I've been doing this for years and years and years, I have gotten really good at eyeing it. My finger, the width of one of my fingers is about an inch. So I know how many fingers from the buttons from, on a left chest. And I know, 4 fingers is about, 4 inches to 5 inches for me down from the collar. So I do a lot of eyeing. I know that's scary for a lot of people, especially people that are just starting out. But I'm telling you, this is not brain surgery, and you gotta have to educate your clients. I tell people, put a little disclaimer hang tag on your garments. These are, made with love, handmade with love. You might, we might have a, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch tolerance, something like that. I know a lot of people that will do that from time to time. Let's see, what other questions? If you do not have, Paris asks a great question. If you do not have threadability, can you use something to substitute? Yes, Paris, the heat printing pillows. Those are a great tool to have because you can slip them in, and now basically they help absorb all of the seams and the buttons and the zippers. So those are a great tool to have. We also have what we call print perfect pads. I did not go over that in this webinar, but maybe Stacy can post a link to our print perfect pads. They are great. You can slide those inside your garment, your hoodie, your t-shirt, your legging, your pant, your sleeve, and they lift up the garment and basically allow the seams to fall down, or the buttons or the rivets, so that it's elevating just the area that you want to print. So check those out, print perfect pads. Just a note about print perfect pads. You definitely need to back off on the pressure when you use those pads. And you guys that have used those pads know exactly what I'm talking about. You need to ease off on the pressure a little bit for when using those print perfect pads. Lorena, no, you do not need to send your email to get a recorded copy of this class. We have, I believe, all of your email addresses. When you guys registered, you had to fill out your email addresses. So we will send everyone a copy that registered for the webinar, so not to worry on that. Lydia says masking tape. Yep, masking tape is great. We have a product called Thermotape. It's awesome. Doesn't leave a residue, can take the heat. I have Thermotape in my little drawer of tools. It's just a great handy little tool to have. Dale says, where does tri-blend fall on the chart you just sent over? So Dale, the chart that we sent over, the fabric compatibility chart, that is going to relate to only Stahls products. So Stahls vinyl and Stahls digital full color transfers, and then like our twill and all that good stuff. Tri-blend, I would probably reference like the rayon category or the poly category, because it's kind of along those lines of heat sensitivity. Alan asked a great question. Can the power platens be used on the Hotronix Fusion IQ? Unfortunately, Alan, they're not compatible. We really stand behind the safety standards at our company. In order to get UL certification for our presses, which is a world-renowned certification, we have to pass certain safety standards. And because of the way the power platens are engineered with the short cord, it's a safety hazard. So we do not sell the power platens. They're not compatible with the Fusion IQ, but they are compatible with the Air Fusion models. This is a great question. I'm going to ask this one out loud. Pullover Prints put this question here as a private question, but I think this is worthwhile. Can you dye sub 100% poly garment with the lower power platen? So we have done a ton of testing on this. We don't, we sell sublimation transfers, but sublimation is not our core business, right? We sell screen printed transfers and vinyl transfers and digital transfers, but we've done a bunch of testing on this. And unfortunately, it doesn't quite meet the mark for me personally. Because you're placing it down onto a really hot platen, the gases start to release and you can get ghosting. It just doesn't work well. I have some customers that say they do it successfully. I have yet to see it with my own eyes. So pullover prints, I would not suggest the power platens with dye sub. You start to get ghosting and it can become a whole different bag of issues. Okay, so David asks, if you do get a scorch marks or a box mark on an inexpensive tea, will it eventually go away if left overnight? So David, it really depends. If it's a scorch mark, nope, it's not going to go away. It doesn't matter how many times you wash it, how much time you wait, it ain't going away. You have literally burned the fibers of the fabric. If it's just a bruise or a slight discoloration mark, yeah, typically that can go away if you wait a couple of hours or wait overnight and or wash the garment. Then it will go away. Okay, so pullover prints. Again, this is related to, I'm assuming dye sub, but he's basically saying he's using the pillows and he's still getting framing from the edge of the paper. That's unfortunately a severe limitation to sublimation. The only recommendation I have is lighten up on the pressure. You basically want almost no pressure, but then you're not going to get the color saturation. Or tear the edges of the paper so they're kind of rough and not so sharp edged. That's another option. Doesn't always work. Depends on, the type of poly you're using. Select a different polyester. That's always an option. Or make the carrier oversized. Make it larger than your platen or your garment, and that will help eliminate that as well. Oop, I saw one here, but here we go. Jeff is saying, still getting scorching with a power platen, applying flex style emblems with the silicone pad on high-end polyester around the edges, and the pad does not cover. Jeff, do me a favor and email me, because that's going to be a slightly longer conversation. But I think I can help you dial that in. I think I know what you're talking about, but it might be worth having a phone call or an email. So Jeff, email me. It's Jennifer. I'll put it in the chat box here. It's Jennifer.Johnson at Stahl. I'm being a little dyslexic today. Let me make sure I got that correctly here. It's Jennifer.Johnson at Stahls.com. So Jeff Thompson, if you're still on, go ahead and email me and we can connect and I can kind of walk you through some troubleshooting on that. Okay, so Tom Smith asks, for top and bottom heat, the top platen to 250 and the bottom platen recommended temp for the product. So Tom, it's going to vary slightly depending on the product you're using, but as a general rule of thumb, it's going to be somewhere between 300 degrees on the bottom or up to 320. 320 is going to be the max. But you're probably going to do most of your items right around 300 degrees on the bottom. So David Wood asks, can you lower a temperature from 275 to 250 or 260 and increase the pressing time to help prevent bruising? David, that gets really, really scary. We have formulated all of our products, and I'm just speaking for Stahls and Transfer Express, with a very specific recipe. And when you start to veer away from that recipe, you might get it to look okay. It might look great. Yep, everything looks good. You send it off to your client, ship it to your client, and the first time they go to wash it, what happens? It cracks and falls off. It's like baking a cookie. If you don't follow the recipe, yeah, you can bake the cookie, but it probably won't taste very good or turn out very well. I highly recommend you don't deviate from the temperature settings that we've recommended. The only time you would do that is if you're using the power platens. You can then lower your top heat to 250 because you're now incorporating the bottom heat to basically melt the transfer together in a sandwich formation. So no, to answer your question, I would not lower the temperature and increase your dwell. You can really run into some serious long-term issues like durability and washability. So Dale says, do you have a listing of Stahls presses that are compatible with the new Power Platens? So Dale, the presses that are compatible, and it says that. So when you click on the link to the Power Platens and it takes you to the landing page on our website, it tells you which model of presses are compatible, but I'll reiterate it again. It's the Hotronix Auto Clam presses, our Max line of presses, and that's MAXX, and our Air Fusion line of presses. So those are the presses that are compatible with the Power Platens. The only press that it is not compatible with is our Fusion IQ. So Kristen asks a really good question. When testing the inside of the garment, will it affect the outside and be noticeable? Yeah, Kristen, it can. It can. Again, try to just pick a small little corner, just, I don't know, about 1/4 of an inch corner to test in the back, and kind of, an inconspicuous area. But yeah, it can. If it's a really heat sensitive polyester, it certainly can be noticeable. But it's better than having to buy an extra garment or risk losing a whole garment because you put a transfer on there and the whole thing's scorched. So Caitlin says she only uses popular polyester shirts. What should she be doing to prevent scorching? So Caitlin, again, the flexible application pad, the Power Platens, and the pillows. Those are going to be your best bet. And selecting a product that applies at a low temperature, like our Ultra Weed or our Premium Plus or our Ultra Color Soft at Transfer Express. Those are 3 great products that pop to my mind that apply at a nice low temperature. Oscar asks, does the dwell time change if you use the pillow and the flexible application pad? Yes, Oscar. So if you're using a flexible application pad, even if you're using a pillow, not using a pillow, you have to double the dwell time because it's just so thick. It really acts as a barrier from the heat to get through it. So I would definitely double the dwell time there. So Sharon says, is there a silicone cover for the round platen? Sharon, there is not. I think you're referring to our quick slip platen covers. There is not. I've had some people buy like the little 6x10 and kind of get creative with it, but no, we don't offer a quick change platen cover for the 7-inch round. So Anne-Marie asks, what transfer type is best for a Sport Tech 100% polyester hoodie with a one-color logo to avoid scorching? So Anne-Marie, it's going to boil down to the detail in your logo. I don't have access to your logo, so I can't tell you right off the bat. But my first suggestion would be Premium Plus vinyl. That's a heat transfer vinyl. Or our Ultra Weed heat transfer vinyl. That's our newest product. Those are both great products, super soft, lightweight, breathable. They both apply at a nice low temperature. They work beautifully on those Sport Tech polyester shirts. But you just have to be careful when you have a lot of detail. Cutting vinyl can sometimes be a little bit difficult when you're getting a lot of detail. So Amy asks a private question. Will the AutoClam heat press, will it ship before September 8th? It should, Amy. For those of you that have been trying to order some heat presses, we are just in a major backlog situation right now. I'll be really transparent with everybody. We have seen a huge surge in heat press orders, which has really put us in a backlog situation at Hotronix. So we are working night and day to build these machines. Right now, on average, we're running at about 7 to 12 business days to produce a heat press. So if you guys have any questions about that, you're welcome to call me or email me offline, jennifer.johnson@stahls.com. And, I will happily stay on here and answer there's a lot of questions here in the chat. But for those of you that, need to jump off, thank you so much for joining us. It was so great to have all of you. I really appreciate your time. We love sharing this kind of stuff with you. You'll get an emailed copy of all of this, but I will stay on here and continue to answer some more questions for everybody. Okay, so Kelly has a different brand of heat press and a different brand of lower heat technology. Unfortunately, Kelly, I would reach out to the manufacturer of that heat press and see if they have any guidelines. I mean, you could start with our guidelines, but our guidelines are really designed for our engineered heat presses. So, you know, maybe start and do some testing if you have some extra garments laying around. But you also might want to give them a call and see what they recommend as well. Al writes, is there a quick reference sheet on what products are used at what temps? Yes, Al. So in our 2020 product catalog, and Stacy, I don't know if you have quick access to post a PDF copy of that, but on page of our catalog, and we have a digital version, but on page 71 of the catalog, we have all of our application instructions listed right there. So it tells you all of our products and time, temperature, pressure, and then peel cold or peel hot or peel warm. So really great little cheat sheet. I print it out and kind of keep it next to me. So yep, we've got that. So Paris asks, this is a unique question. She's getting a crease mark outline from her heat press on her 100% poly shirt. It doesn't look like scorching, but more of a crease mark. Paris, this could be a mark from the edge of the transfer paper. So oftentimes you will get like a sharp indentation or crease mark from the edges of the carrier. We call it a carrier, a transfer paper. It's what the transfer is on, right? So if that's what you're referring to, yes, you might have to back off your pressure just slightly or use the flexible application pad. That will also help with that. What would cause a transfer to disappear after the first wash? Well, Wendy, I don't know what kind of transfer type you used, but a couple of explanations for that. You likely didn't use the right time, temperature, and pressure to apply that product, so it just simply washed away after you washed it. It's really crucial, guys, that you follow the application instructions for the products. I see so many times I walk into a lot of shops and people are like, oh, well, I just set my press to this and I press all my products at this. And I'm going, oh my God. And they're like, oh, and it looks fine. It works great. Well, yeah, it might work great in your shop and it might look great, but the minute you go to wash it or wear it, it's going to pop and crack and peel and wash right off because you didn't follow the right recipe. So I can't stress enough, don't cheat it. Don't use your own settings. Follow the settings that product is recommended for. And if you're using a transfer company that doesn't include settings, find another transfer company because that's scary. We include application instructions in all of our products, so make sure you're following those. Lorena said she received her heat press yesterday. Where can she find beginner classes and how do you start? So everybody, this is just a tremendous bit of advice here. Go to YouTube, type in Stahls TV and subscribe. It's totally free. We have thousands of videos that we have created. Thousands. How to do this, how to do that, how to remove heat transfers, how to eliminate scorch. I mean, anything you could imagine, we've got a video created for it. And we have a ton of how to get started with heat presses, how to use the heat press, how to take it out of the box, tips and tricks, how to create a t-shirt business. I mean, it's just endless. So highly recommend you guys should subscribe to Stahls TV. It's a great resource for you. So Cindy, oh, this is a great question. I'm really glad you asked this. When I change my Platen on the Hotronix autoclam, the pressure is out of whack. What is the quickest way to find out the new pressure setting? turn to the right or left. Thank you. I am loving my heat press. Well, first of all, I'm glad you're loving your heat press. The Hotronix Auto Clam is awesome. So you are absolutely right. When you drop in interchangeable platens, different size platens, the pressure is now off because think about it. It's PSI, it's pounds per square inch, and you've now changed the square inch. So you now have all this different pounds driving into a different square inch. So you're going to have, it's going to be basically, for lack of better words, out of whack. So general rule of thumb, the dial gauge on the top, it's lefty loosey, righty tighty. So clockwise turns up your pressure, counterclockwise takes the pressure away or takes the pressure off. And then there's a little digital number readout, Cindy, on your digital control box. So when you engage the press, it will say a 1, a 2, all the way up to 10, a 1 to a 10. We recommend applying most of our products between a 6 and a 7. So you always want to test your pressure and get it to about a 6 or a 7. So hopefully that helps there. We have a video on that as well. If you go to Stahls TV, you'll have a video on how to set your pressure settings. So Pamela, she's got an ST350 and an ST320 polyester jersey, and she's saying she's getting platen marks no matter what pressure she uses and what cover sheets she uses. So Pamela, it might be, if you haven't tried the flexible application pad, okay, if you haven't tried that, try that. If you have tried that, you might need top and bottom heat, meaning that's one of those types of materials that you have to bring the heat down to 250 on the top and incorporate bottom heat on the bottom. Again, if all else fails and you're still getting discoloration and you're still getting marks, that means you need to incorporate top and bottom heat. Okay? And remember, guys, when you incorporate top and bottom heat, you still need to test it. Every once in a while, few and far between, but every once in a while, there is just those fabrics out there that cannot take heat transfer. They're just too heat sensitive. It's rare. It's really, really rare, but I have seen it in my experience. Let's see. Oh, Cindy, it says your customer service is amazing. Thank you so much for the kind words. Look, guys, your success is our success. If you guys aren't successful, we're not successful. So we are really here to help you guys. Yeah, we're here to sell products, but at the end of the day, we're here to set you guys up for success. I mean, we can't just sell you a product and walk away and hope you guys figure it out. You know, if you fail, that does us no good. So we really pride ourselves on our customer service and our videos and our education. We love doing it. We definitely love doing it. All right, let's see. Any questions that I missed? Stacy, I don't think there's any questions that I missed.
I think you got them all.
Great. Well, guys, thank you so much. Again, it was a pleasure spending time with everybody. And, you know, if anybody wants to ask me some private questions or just needs anything at all, you guys are always welcome to email me. I'll put my email one more time in the chat box, but it's jennifer.johnson@stahls.com. I hope eventually to see all of you at trade shows and through more webinars and all that good stuff. Have a great afternoon, everybody.